So, I'm back. That's right. I am back on Carnivore. So, many people have been wondering, what happened to Jerry? He's gotten bigger and everything, because if you watch any of my pre-trib rapture videos and stuff like that I've been doing, you know that I have gained some weight since, a year ago. And, that's because I had broke my leg back in May of 2024, May 10th to be exact. And when I broke my leg, it started a chain of events that I could not anticipate. And so when I broke my leg May 10th and had to go, they had to life flight me to a hospital in Nashville. And once they set my leg and everything, put a metal plate in there and everything, because I broke it pretty good, they fed me some horrible food in the hospital. And they even gave me, a lot of this meds to try to help you, keep from having so much pain with the broken leg. And so then, of course, they gave me some stool softener and stuff like that, and so all that kind of inflamed everything that was going on in my body. So, to make a long story short, I got off of the carnivore diet. And as a direct result of breaking my leg, believe it or not, because when I broke my leg and they were feeding me that horrible food in the hospital, a week after I got out of the hospital, well, it was actually just a few days after I got out of the hospital, I had a severe gallbladder attack. Very, very bad gallbladder attack. And it landed me back into the hospital. And in essence, the breaking of my leg actually kind of saved my life in a way, but also kind of wrecked all the progress I had made while being on the carnivore diet. So today's episode, I'm going to be talking to you all about what happened to me in the hospital and why what happened to me is not an indication that the carnivore diet is bad, but rather what we should have been on from birth. So if you haven't watched any of my stuff, I'm Jerry Lee Colbert. I do a lot of videos on YouTube. I'm a musician, photographer, and I also work at a hotel. That's my main day job. But I also have been on a health kick for quite some time. It's been quite a few years. I've been trying to get my health right, because I've been getting bigger and bigger. I'm 55 years old now, and I've been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And when I went on the carnivore diet back in September 2022, I was around 240 pounds. And I was having all kinds of issues. I was having arthritis throughout my body. I was in constant pain. My back was always, on the verge of going out on me. I have a slip disc. And, I just had a lot of pain in my shoulder. There was 1 year I couldn't even lift my arm any higher than this, So whenever I would try to lower my hatchback, I couldn't do that, If I went to reach out the window to hand somebody some money at a drive-through, I couldn't do that either. I would drop the money because my arm, I couldn't lift it any higher. And I couldn't even put on my belt at one point in time. And it was, back in 2017 when I realized that I got to make a change, I got to do something different. So when I left the area that I was living in and went to North Carolina to try to fix myself, so to speak, I did some things that was unconventional and wound up causing me to have my gallbladder taken out 7 years later. So prior to that, 2017, I was, eating the standard American diet, eating just bunch of junk, and I wasn't eating that much fatty cuts of meat. Of course, I was eating a lot of pasta. I was a big pasta fiend. I love pasta. And I just ate tons of pizza and stuff like that. But then in 2017, I decided that I was going to try to fix myself, and I moved to North Carolina, and I started drinking this stuff called Huel. And I don't know if you all have heard of it, but it's a nutritional supplement drink. And with that, I would eat some fruit and stuff, because I was reading all the literature that says, meat's bad for you, plant's good, fruit's good for you, blah, 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 right? And granted, I lost some weight, and I did feel good for a little bit. But unbeknownst to me, I was actually harming myself even more. Now, prior to 2017, I did have a few gallbladder attacks. I didn't know what they were, but it was pretty rough. And now I know what they were. But back then I wasn't really quite sure. But I knew something was right. And so when I started on this Huel drink and supplement and stuff like that, it fixed my shoulder, my inflammation. I could move my arm up and down, do all kinds of stuff, right? So I thought I was on to something, and it really, really, really helped me get rid of all that inflammation and pain. And mainly because I wasn't eating any more processed foods, right? I was getting rid of all the bread. I got rid of all the pasta and stuff like that. But I was actually harming my body, unbeknownst to me. So when I came back to Tennessee, I was still on that. But then I realized that, it just wasn't sustainable to just keep drinking, these shakes that I would make, from this Huel and some fruit in there and stuff like that. Granted, it felt great. But I realized it just wasn't that sustainable. So I started back on the standard American diet. Of course, I was going to church and stuff like that, right? And, of course, I'm in the Baptist area, so Southern Baptists, they believe in eating before church, during church, after church, anytime, really. Yeah. And so you won't find a skinny person there, very rarely. So, that was kind of rough, going to church and having to be around all that food. So I wound up getting off of the diet that I was on and started back on the sad American diet. And I realized that I was getting my pains back, my arthritis was coming back, my pains in my joints were coming back, So I decided that I would start on the carnivore diet. And to be honest with you, I had never even heard of the carnivore diet. I actually just said, why don't I just start eating meat? Surely meat's good for you, right? Even though I've heard it's bad for you, I'll just eat meat. And when I did that, I don't know, maybe my phone heard me say that, and so all of a sudden I get all these notifications about, carnivore diet. So I was like, well, what is this about? So I went down that rabbit hole and everything, and, started the carnivore diet. Well, when I started the carnivore diet, the gallbladder attacks that I would have every once in a blue moon, because I wasn't eating that much fat, right? All of a sudden, I started having more gallbladder attacks. And it was very, very painful. It would last an hour or two. Sometimes I don't even know how I made it through it. Some of the attacks were pretty rough. I'd have to throw up in order to get some sort of relief. It was pretty rough. Then I started taking some digestive enzymes and some, Dr. Berg has this gallbladder formula. I started taking that. It's like ox bile. And for a while, that kind of helped. I wasn't having as many attacks when I would take that with my fatty cuts of meat that I would eat. Well, fast forward to 2024, and I'm doing very well. It's been like 2 years on the carnivore diet. I'm doing very well. And Someone wrecks their four-wheeler outside my house. I felt the need to go help them. And during the course of helping them, the four-wheeler ran over my leg and broke it. Right below the knee, actually. The tibia plateau, broke it all the way across. In fact, a physical therapist later would tell me that's the first time he ever seen somebody break it all the way across. Some people have cracked it, on one side or the other, but not all the way across. But I did it right, I guess. So when I broke it on May 10th and they had to life flight me to Nashville to get it repaired and everything, get a plate put in and all that stuff, in the hospital, they just fed me junk. I mean, Jell-O and stuff like that, just junk food, really. And, of course, my boss, who came to see me, he brought me a nice steak. And let me just tell you, I thought I had committed a crime in that hospital. Yeah. The doctors, nurses, everybody there, well, mainly the nurses, they were not very happy that I ate steak. No, sirree, Bob, they were not happy at all. They wanted me to eat their supposed health food of Jell-O and some sort of chocolate muffin and gravy, potatoes, and wasn't very much nutritional stuff on there. So, I was only in there for a few days, after my surgery on my leg. And then when I got home, and they had given me some pain pills, and this pain pills that they gave you could make you constipated. So they gave me some powder to drink to make sure it's like a stool softener. And so I drank that when I got back from the hospital. And the very first day back, I had a really severe gallbladder attack. Severe. Where I couldn't get no relief. Now remember, I have a broken leg. It's in a brace. I can't move my leg. I have hardly any strength at all. I'm wore out, exhausted. I'm having this huge, gallbladder attack. And I couldn't get no relief. I couldn't do what I normally do, which was get up off of the bed and kneel down and just, kind of bend my stomach a certain way to try to get some relief. I couldn't do any of that because I have a broken leg. I couldn't really move. So I was really suffering. And so we had to call the ambulance to come take me. And that was a fiasco getting out of my house with the paramedics. They had to carry me down the stairs. Anyways, that was a nightmare. And so they got me into the ambulance, right? And so the paramedics on the way to the hospital was asking me, so what have you been eating? So I told them, well, I'm on a carnivore diet and this and that, but I broke my leg. I said, and I had gotten off of it from the hospital food and stuff like that. Well, of course, the paramedic had to chime in. Well, it ain't the hospital food, of course. It's that carnivore diet. He's like, I've known a lot of people that had to have their gallbladders taken out because of the carnivore diet. So anybody that goes on a carnivore diet, that's what they're going to have to deal with because carnivore diet causes it. But does it really? More on that a little bit later. So, I get to the hospital, and that was a nightmare. You have no idea. I get in there, and they're asking me, what I've ate and this and that, and I'm telling them, well, when was the last time you had a bowel movement? Well, it's been a week, because I'm on a carnivore diet. I only go once a week and stuff like that. And they're like, well, that's not good. You're constipated. I'm like, well, I doubt it, but, well, no. Our medical journals say that if you, haven't pooped in a day, you're definitely constipated a day or two. And so I'm like, well, I don't think that's true. But, here I am. I'm still in pain from my leg because anytime you move my leg, even though it's in a brace, it would hurt really bad. Because that's why they gave me pain meds, right? Because I was in pain all the time. And now I got this stomach that's killing me. And they want to tell me I'm constipated. So, they go through all this rigmarole in the emergency room trying to get me unstopped, And they couldn't do it because I wasn't constipated. So, then they, did an ultrasound and I think a few other tests and found out that my gallbladder was really, really, really inflamed. Like, very badly inflamed. So this is now Friday, because that happened Thursday night, and so now here we are Friday. The gastro doctor that's there on call, he's usually there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And he come in, he took a look at the stuff. He said, well, I'm probably going to have to let the doctors on Monday take a look at this, but I think you're probably going to have your gallbladder taken out. But that's up to you. I mean, you could always come back later and have it done as an elective to have it taken out, but you're probably going to be in pain. Now, of course, remember, I'm in severe pain from my leg, severe pain from my stomach. I'm thinking, I'm not going to go home, and then it's so unbearable, I'm going to have to go and be carried down the flight of stairs again in an ambulance back to the hospital. So I'm like, well, what do we need to do? He's like, well, we need to probably take it out. So, but I'm going to leave that for those guys on Monday. And I was like, all right, fine, we'll see what they have to say, right? And so, but during the course of that conversation with the gastro guy on the weekend, he was telling me, he's like, in fact, I'm not even sure why people even have a gallbladder. Yeah. He likened it to the appendix, how it is basically a useless organ. Because, after all, people can live without a gallbladder, so obviously it has no use, right? But is that true? Does a gallbladder have no use in our body? I mean, after all, we can live without it just like we can live without the appendix. We'll get back to that in a few minutes, but just like I can live without this arm right here, doesn't mean that this arm is useless. But anyways, so come Monday, the other doctors that would normally perform the surgery, they came in, they looked at my results and stuff like that, and they said, yeah, you're definitely, you definitely got to have it taken out, because that pain never went away. It was all the way through the weekend. And I'm dealing with pain with my leg, dealing with pain with that. They put me on morphine. I was like hallucinating. It was pretty rough. So they convinced me that I probably need to get it taken out. So that's what I did. They went and took my gallbladder out. And it was a good thing. Because apparently it was gangrenous. Yep. It was on the verge of rupturing had I not taken it out. So I had been resisting having anybody take my gallbladder out for years. I've been doing everything I could to keep from having to have any kind of surgery. I knew something was wrong down in my stomach. I knew it for probably a decade or so ago. But I just, I never liked doctors. I never believed anything they said. Rightly so, too. But, so they took my gallbladder out. And when they did, when you get your gallbladder taken out, they blow you up like a balloon to take it out. Well, I had a lot of gas in my system from that gas that they pump you up with to get the gallbladder out. And they had to keep me in the hospital for another week or so because I had to have a little port that was right here that had a line all the way over to the gallbladder down here where they had taken it out because it was gangrenous, and they wanted to make sure all that gangrenous fluid or whatever was sucked out into this little port. So they kept me in there another week. Typically they would send you home and everything, but I couldn't walk. I couldn't get up and move around, which you can expel a lot of that gas that's built up in your system from the, them blowing you up and everything. You can get a lot of that out of your system by walking it off, but I couldn't. Then I started developing a problem breathing because I'd been laying in bed for now almost a week and a half because, I was laying in bed when I broke my leg, laying in bed when I got home, laying in bed hospital. So then I just started developing a problem with breathing. So they were afraid I was going to get pneumonia. So they kept me in there a little bit longer. And finally, I just begged to get out of that hospital. So they finally took that port out and everything. And I got home. But still, I was having a lot of gas pains, right? A lot of pains, a lot of belching. Just a lot of gas-related issues. I, took some gas pill that I don't think ever helped. But, I was having a lot of issues, a lot of pain with my leg, a lot of pain with that. And I tried to go back to eating steaks, but I couldn't because my stomach was confused. It's like, well, we used to have a gallbladder to rely on, but now we don't. So here I am having indigestion now because I go to eat steaks, fatty steaks, but I can't do that because my stomach's confused. I have no gallbladder anymore, so I'm trying to figure out what's happening. I'm still bloated with gas from the, them taking the gallbladder out. Yeah. So, since they had been feeding me Jell-O and stuff like that in the hospital, and macaroni and cheese and potatoes and gravy, and even at the second hospital, they would feed me all this stuff. I decided, well, my stomach wasn't hurting as bad when I was on that stuff, so I guess because it raised my, acidity level of my stomach. And I said, well, I guess I'll just have to go and eat some regular food, some sad American diet in order to get some sort of relief because this is too much. I was having too much pain, too much. I just could not get no relief. I couldn't sleep. And, if you can't sleep, you're having all this pain and indigestion, you're not really thinking right, So, but, it is what it is. I wound up going back to the standard American diet. And granted, it eased my indigestion so I could deal with my broken leg pain and the, physical therapy that was happening then and stuff like that. And being able to try to do some more of the breathing treatment so I could breathe again. And, trying to find a way to lay in bed, without hurting so I could get some sleep. I didn't want to take the pain pills, but I had no choice. Finally got on another pain pill that kind of helped. Man. Yeah, it was rough. But here's the thing. Did the carnivore diet, did it cause me to have my gallbladder removed? Well, yes and no. The carnivore diet did not actually cause it, but it revealed something that was wrong with my body. It revealed that I had a bad gallbladder. And it pronounced it to the world that, hey, you've got a bad gallbladder and you're going to have problems eating this fatty meats. Now, the question we should be asking ourselves is, would I have ever had to have my gallbladder taken out if I was on a carnivore diet from birth? And that's all I ate until now. No, I wouldn't. I would never had my gallbladder taken out. And you say, well, that's an awful bold claim. Very bold of you, Jerry, to make such a claim. Well, yeah. Because even though the gastro guy down there at the hospital had no idea what a gallbladder was for, I knew. A gallbladder is very useful for those who eat meat, fatty cuts of meat. Why? Because the gallbladder takes bile from the liver and concentrates it. So, many years ago, hundreds of years ago, we used to hunt for our food. And we'd take down a buffalo or take down some sort of large beast right? And we'd eat it there. We didn't take it to our home and put it in the freezer and eat it later. We ate it right then and there. So we had to have an ability to, when we consumed a lot of fat, to be able to emulsify that so our body would be able to absorb it. That's what the gallbladder's for. Now, of course, the doctor at the hospital had no idea what a gallbladder's for. He likened it to an appendix. So our gallbladder is of use. It's just that because I was eating poorly all my life, I was damaging my gallbladder. And even when I went on that juice thing and the juice cleanse, and then I went on the Huel drink and stuff like that, replacement drinks, meal drinks, I damaged it even more because I wasn't eating fatty cuts of meat. Because why? Because the bile had nowhere to go. So the liver put some bile in the gallbladder concentrated it, but it couldn't spit it out to digest the food, to digest the fatty cuts of meat because I wasn't eating it. So then what happened to that bile when it's sitting there for so long? Well, it turns to sludge or it turns to stones. In my case, it was mainly sludge. So when I started eating the carnivore diet, that revealed what was wrong with my body. Because I started eating more fatty cuts of meat. And so sometimes I would eat fatty cut of meat, wouldn't bother me because, the port that goes out of the gallbladder wasn't blocked. Because the sludge was just sludging along at the bottom of the gallbladder. But then every once in a while, it would block that port that goes out of the gallbladder. And it would block it. And that would be what caused the inflammation. That would be what caused the pain. So, needless to say, the doctor wasn't right, nor was that paramedic, because the carnivore diet did not cause it, but rather the standard American diet that everybody's on now. That's what caused my gallbladder issue. It's what causes the majority of gallbladder issues throughout America, throughout the world, really. That's what causes a lot of degenerative diseases like arthritis, because my arthritis went away when I was on carnivore. All my ailments went away when I was on carnivore. My brain fog lifted. I could think more clearly. Nowadays, the last few months, I've been having a heck of a time thinking clearly because brain fog's back because I was started on that standard American diet and I couldn't get off of it for the last few months. So the moral to the story is that the carnivore diet, if you go on it, might reveal that you have, if you haven't already had your gallbladder taken out, that you're probably going to have to. Because it might reveal that you have damaged your gallbladder past the point of no return. But as of January 1st, I am back on the carnivore diet because my stomach's, ingestions just calmed down and everything. So I'm back on the carnivore diet. Actually, I've kind of been transitioning during December, eating less and less junk from the standard American diet and gravitating more and more towards eating more meat and fatty cuts of meat. So I started January 1st and January 2nd and eating just meat and nothing else. Granted, I still need to give up coffee because I did start that back up. But other than that, I'm back to carnivore. And, of course, now I'm a little concerned how I'm going to navigate it without a gallbladder. And granted, I was bypassing the gallbladder anyways when I was on carnivore before by using ox bile. Well, actually, it was a gallbladder formula that Dr. Berg had, and it's like ox bile. And then I was also doing digestive enzymes. So from my understanding from Dr. Chafee, he was suggesting that I probably should eat, instead of eating just one big meal, which is what I was doing before when I was on carnivore, eating one big meal, like 2 pounds of meat at night, just to split it up during the day, so my body can absorb it all. So I'll eat a pound at like lunch and then another pound of meat at dinner time. And so I did try that Monday and Tuesday, and it seems to work. I didn't have any real issues. Of course, I'm having diarrhea right now because my body's trying to, get rid of all the toxins and all the junk. But I will be taking the digestive enzymes again, and with my meals, just to make sure that I can emulsify all of the good stuff of the meat and the fat and everything, and so it can be distributed properly in my body. And I am still taking vitamin D supplements. I have been taking those even when I was on the standard American diet, because I don't really go out in the sun much. Don't know if you can tell. But, yeah, so that's where we are at. I know it's kind of a long episode. I just wanted to ramble a little bit and tell you what's going on. The year of 2025 is the year where Jerry is back on the carnivore diet. So I'll be talking a lot about that on this channel. As you know, I've been doing a variety of things, because really this is basically a vlog channel. I'm just telling you what's going on in my life and stuff. I do a lot of stuff on the Bible and about God and Jesus, and about false teaching and stuff like that on this channel. And I've even put out some AI music that I used AI to create, and I've been putting that out on this channel. But I'll be putting out more and more content on the carnivore diet. So if you're interested in any of that, feel free to subscribe to my channel so you can be notified of any updates to my carnivore journey. So with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and if you did, don't forget to hit that like button right down below. And if you want to see more of these episodes in the future, like I said, just make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. And with that being said, I want to wish you all a wonderful week, and I'll catch you next episode. Take care. Bye.